Welcome back to Shed Talk with Kevin Halliday. Today's episode is about why the workplace matters more than we would admit. Because for a lot of men, work isn't just where we earn a living. It's where we carry the pressure, hide from the stress, and keep it all together. My guest is Delaine Bennett, a registered social worker and a marriage and family therapist. And we're talking about real standards of healthy workplace. Not just safety rules and hard hats, but culture, check-ins, and the support before a good man breaks. Delaine, welcome to Shed Talk. Creating curiosity by asking better questions. This is Shed Talk. Wow, Delaine, welcome to Shed Talk. Thanks for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me.
So I have to ask this question. This is your first podcast?
First one.
And what do you think?
Oh my gosh, this place is amazing, first of all. Second of all, I love the energy. I'm very excited to have this conversation today.
You know what? I'm extremely excited because it was interesting. We were starting the conversation before we started about men's mental health.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about the workplace. And then all of a sudden, how did you get started in this? And why is it important? Because being in a podcast for the first time, and you had just mentioned about how to read a room.
Yeah.
Tell me more about that.
Yeah, okay, so I was actually talking about my control issues to begin with. Is I like having control of how I present information, so this is a little bit different. We're going to build a trust relationship, you and I, right now, so that I know that you're going to lead me in the right direction, and we're going to build this together. So I started off doing a lot of talks with electrical companies is actually where I started, and I think it was to fill a need of some of these workers and men who were struggling in mental health, and they were looking for some sort of solution. An hour-long talk isn't going to fix much with the standards of where things are right now with mental health and men in the workplace, but it's a place to start, and it's starting to get the information out there and have some awareness build. And so I was really happy to get this invitation to come here, and we'll try it out this way.
Well, it's interesting because, as you mentioned, because you have to read the room.
Yeah.
So you're doing the electrical side of it.
Yeah.
And you had to read the room and in men with mental health issues. And do you find it's trending more?
Yeah. I just actually, not too long ago, did a talk with the Alberta Electrical Alliance. And so it was a really widespread population of people. It was a little bit different because it's not just frontline, it's management, it's executives, all of the different players. And what I really noticed, what I took away from that was when I was talking about suicide rates, things like that, there was so much buy-in. I was expecting some scoffing, like, no, not in our backyard kind of attitude, right? But I had a lot of leaning in, quiet, listening, and the tension in the room was just, I was like, this is real energy that we need to do something about.
So you're sitting in this room, you have electrical workers, majority of men, obviously.
Yes, yeah.
What was the intake? Here they are, they're sitting there.
Yeah.
And the first conversation that all of a sudden, that aha moment for a man sitting there that you noticed in the crowd, because you're obviously up there, you're talking. And when was that one sentence or one thing that all of a sudden sparked their attention?
Do you know what it actually was? I had put, this is a bit of a funny story and then it'll get more serious, but I had actually put on my PowerPoint a picture of an overloaded circuit breaker, and there was an audible gasp in the entire room because everyone was very uncomfortable with this overloaded circuit breaker image. And when I started talking about this is what happens to a brain that carries pressure for an extended amount of time and doesn't have tools to manage it and keep your brain within a high functioning window. And when I linked those two items together, you could just feel I don't want to say relief, but you could feel the bottom almost drop out, people saying, yes, this is what I feel too. This is I identify with this, and someone's giving some language and some words to it now.
So what made you think of using, well, obviously because electrical and then the brain and then thinking about that was going to resonate?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah. So to answer that question, I have to give you a little bit of background of my eclectic beginnings, we'll say. So I originally come from children's services. I'm a social worker. And social workers deal in what's called systems thinking. And systems thinking is in therapy is about how do you handle multiple levels of presence to create kind of a common goal or move towards a common goal. And in children's services, I guess, was trained really well to think through that. And because it's urgent and emergency, you have to be able to make those decisions. You're assessing and deciding in really, really quick manners. When I left there, I moved into therapy, and I still felt like I was being drawn into these like systems. So ADHD families where there's lots of dysregulation and lots of challenges that we're working towards. I really was drawn to those kind of situations where it's this system that is under pressure. I also got invited into the game and conduct role at my kids' hockey club, the Wolverines Hockey Club. And so I do a lot of program design and organization on how to manage those behaviors because, again, we have another system that is with volunteers under a lot of pressure. So how do we manage the system and the players in it so that we can all successfully move towards the goal that we're all there to do with all of these other layers and factors around it? And so I used to think I have this really eclectic, weird interest base, but as I actually sat down and started thinking about it, and more people were really liking the way that I was presenting this information and asking me to do it, I started feeling this common thread come together where I was like, oh my gosh, this is social work at the very like base level of systems. What is it about systems that I like? It's the pressure piece. Systems are all great and well when you have your safety protocols in place and the sun is shining and there's no inclemental weather and everyone shows up and has well-rested brains and has eaten properly and done all the things. And those systems work really well when all of those conditions are met. But how often, and you would know this because you live in this world too, how often do those conditions actually show up that way?
Oh my gosh, it never does.
Never.
Never.
Never. And so this is the piece that I started pulling out of it. When we apply pressure to a system, it does not operate the same way. And I'm going to take you down a little journey here. So in the brain, when we show up well rested, like I just said, and we've met all of our like basic human needs, we show up and we're functioning great. We're in that, what we would call the window of tolerance, right? So you're neither over-functioning or under-functioning. You're all systems firing, ready to go, right? But if maybe we were out too late with our friends last night and we maybe had a few drinks, or if we just had a massive fight with our wife before we left for the day, or if the kids are wearing on you and you haven't had a day off or a moment to yourself in like months, it feels like, then all of a sudden we have a system that's under pressure. And our brain, when it's under pressure, it does not respond the same because we're outside of our window of tolerance. And so now all of a sudden, all of those safety checklists and all of those tasks that you're used to doing every day and it's easy to mark it off, it changes because pressure changes the brain. And it changes how we make decisions. It changes how we respond to people. It changes how we show up. And then the next layer of that is when we're in systems, in a group, in a team, in a crew, whatever that looks like, is we have the ability to be able to impact the emotional volume of everybody around us. And so we have this many layered system that is at play here that has 1,000 million different ways it can go off track. And so in the olden days, back when, as my kids would say, back when dinosaurs roamed.
I had to walk uphill both ways.
That's right, yeah, exactly. The science that they were working on through that, so some of the safety science that they were working on was, well, how do we make sure that we are consistently working through things the exact same way every single time? How do we promote safe behavior every single time, right? On work sites, I'm talking about. And what happens is what we just talked about. There is no perfect time every single time. There are too many other factors and scenarios that you would have to plan for to make sure that that checklist goes off every single time. So instead, where some of that science is moving to is people are adaptive systems, and the work site is an adaptive system, an adaptive site, sorry. And so if we can learn how they adaptively work together, how do we influence one another in a way that is positive and working towards this common goal? Now we're biohacking into how do we don't worry about the checklist. We worry about the person and knowing that if they're supported in the right way, they will make the right decision every time.
Right.
So now we're looking at, this is where I get a little bit nerdy because
Oh, you're welcome to be nerdy. This is interesting because we're
Yeah.
talking about the workplace.
Yeah.
Okay, we're on a job site.
Yes.
We're doing our check-in in the morning, your OHS. Okay. Our tailgate party or tailgate.
sure,
Okay. So everybody's
exactly.
doing their tailgate.
Yes.
All right. Now it's not just filling out. Here's our hazardous assessment. Here's where this is. Here's our course certification. Okay. Let's fill out the check mark.
Yeah.
Now one more level. And I don't want to interrupt, but keep going so that it kind of
Yeah.
now we're on the next part.
Now we're on the next part. So what we want to start looking at, what a lot of the science is missing, and this is the part where I'm grabbing onto, because I don't know or I haven't seen anyone that has applied this filter yet, but we have a lot of cognitive psychology, a lot of like safety science, a lot of architecture and engineering, resilience engineering, all of those things that we're doing to help workers perform the best that they can. But what we're missing is the mental health piece, and that is where I come in. So the mental health piece, and I know I say mental health and everyone like clams up instantly. At that last talk that I did, I was so mean to them. I showed up and I was really quiet, and everyone's very nervous every time mental health gets brought up. And so I like to start with a joke usually to break that tension. And so I come in and I very quietly say, "Thank you so much for having me. Before we begin, I just want to do a quick icebreaker. If everybody could just quietly hold hands with the person next to us," and the look of like fear and terror on everybody's faces. And then I quickly release them from it and say, "I'm so sorry. I'm just joking. Please don't do that." And then the laughter and relief that comes out,
Oh
it
my gosh.
opens the door to be able to have a conversation like, "Oh, hey, this lady's a bit crazy. Maybe we'll see what she has to say."
And do they actually hold? Did anybody actually hold
Oh my gosh,
hands?
you can
Yeah.
kind of like, everyone's looking around and you can see a little twitching, and then everyone was like, "Well, just joking," when I
Yeah.
said that. So it was very funny. But I think that when we talk about mental health, it is a taboo subject and people get really nervous about it.
Especially on the
And
workplace.
Especially on the workplace, because there's a lot of different accountability pieces, right? So once you open that can of worms, we'll say, like, you can't close it again. So if somebody knows or a higher up is aware that maybe you're not performing your best or that there are other things that are happening for you, then that doesn't get unknown. You can't unring that bell. And then you're forced to take some action into what needs to happen next to make sure that there's no liability for safety reasons, right? And also you value your workers and want to make sure that they're doing well. But not how many people do you think, if I came to you on your job site, well, maybe you're a bad example because you're
Yeah.
becoming very well versed in this, but the average site supervisor or foreman, if I came to them and said, "Hey, I have like the shakes right now and I can't hold a tool because I haven't had a drink in a few hours and I'm not doing very well. I need to leave." How many of those people would know what to say to that or what to do to that?
And it's interesting because when you talk about that right now, because all I can visualize in my head now, I've been in the railing industry in this for 30 years.
Yeah.
And safety was never, ever a part at the beginning. And we call core certification. People had to be core. So, yeah, we had to be because we were forced to it, because the
Yes.
builders pushed us to it. Oh,
Yeah.
great. We appreciate that. Here we are. Fast forward to today. We even had it before. It cost money to be core certified.
Right.
So then what happens is if you weren't core certified and we're quoting against a job, we would actually lose a job to somebody that was not core certified. And we're going, well, how come we have to be core certified?
standard.
Yeah, the standard, yet my prices are higher because I have to do this, but you're going to give it to the lowest bidding. And this is in the construction industry.
Yeah.
And this was played all the time. And then fast forward to today, it's way better because the builders we deal with
Yeah.
now, you're on safety 100%. Now, when you mention that, what do you say? It's like if you don't feel safe and you're not there, it's time for you to leave and go away.
Yeah.
And I don't mean go away.
Yeah, but go take care of yourself, right?
Right.
But then that leaves you with a lot of questions. What does that mean about my
Correct.
job? Do I get to
Right.
come back? Like, how long do I have to go away for? Are you going to support me in this? Am I going to be judged about it? Are you going to say you support me, but then all of a sudden there's no hours for me anymore? Things like that.
And it's
right?
interesting, and you were so right about that, because as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, and I'm going to open up, is that as an employee, they would look and say, you know what, I have mental problems, or whatever that storytelling is to them
Sure.
that they are, like you just said.
Yeah.
And then as an employer, you're going, la la la, I can't, I don't
Right.
want to hear this, I don't want to hear it, because that means I have to do
Right.
something about it. And it's like,
Exactly.
whoa, and eyes wide open and blinders on. It's like, okay, we need to make sure we're supporting, and it's making sure all businesses support the
Yeah.
ones that have help. So that's, so keep going with that.
Yeah, and I will just add to that too. It's such a valid concern right now too. I'm sure you've read the news. There's lots of accidents happening on sites that are ending quite tragically in fatalities, and I'm have not known enough about those situations to know what was at fault there. But when that message is right there in front of your face about these deaths happening, and then you're hearing scary numbers about suicide rates on job sites and addictions and things like that, I think it's really hard to want to dig into that and try to take some of that liability on and know that it's there, but not really have the tools to be able to fix it either.
It's kind of like, let's brush it under this. Let's brush it under the chair. Yeah, we talk safety. We talk men's mental health. You know what? It's important. Suicide rates high. This is high. This is what's going on in the industry, and this is the way it is. But actually, it's right in our own backyard. Going,
100%.
did you ask that question?
Yeah.
Are you okay?
Yeah. And the ability to be able to support a coworker or a colleague or even a friend, it is an intimidating and scary thing to think about, but it really is quite simple. You just need to ask the questions and ask them if they are okay. The number one leading cause, or I wouldn't say cause, I will say the number one leading source of successful therapy is the relationship. The therapeutic relationship. If you read through your scientific research on what makes therapy work, it's the relationship.
Is that like,
100 times over.
would you say, so let's talk back to the men's mental
Sure,
health.
yeah.
On the job site.
Yeah.
Here you are. You're working. You just did your tailgate. You know what? I'm shaking. I don't want to say it because I'm a man.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm a little bit apprehensive. I got a little bit of anxiety. Go up that ladder and do this because of I was drinking the night before. Whatever that storytelling is. Now, how does the other person react? And what is that conversation that they should have
Right.
without feeling embarrassed? And as a therapist side.
So if I was on the job site,
Correct,
what that might
yes.
look like, right?
Okay, well, okay, let's play that.
Yeah.
So let's do it as 100%. So here I am. Let's do a little role play.
Okay, great.
Okay, here I am. I went drinking out the night before. I'm coming to work. I got to go up this ladder, and I'm going to go, you know what? Yeah, I'm a little shaky. I can handle it. I can handle it. If I fall, I'm not worried about it. I can handle it.
Okay, so I'm probably noticing beforehand that you're shaking a little bit maybe anyways, because that should be part of your environment check, safety environment check,
Right.
right? We're looking at our people. There are tools or our opportunity for work. So I'm probably checking in and saying, hey, you got some pretty shaky hands there, pal. What's going on?
Oh, it was a little rough night last night.
Oh, yeah? You tie one on with the boys last
Oh,
night?
yeah, totally did. Totally did. So it's like, yeah, but I'm good.
Yeah. Are you good?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. How do you think your shaky hands are going to manage that ladder there?
Well, we'll find out when I get there.
I'd rather not take that risk.
Oh, yeah. No, I understand what you're saying. You know, I've been doing, you know how long I've been doing this for? Okay. And then so, because there's a lot of people around.
Yes.
I'm the guy.
That's right.
Okay.
And then on and on and on it goes.
yeah.
And so what I might do if and obviously this is coming from a therapist, so.
And that's beautiful. That's why. It's
Right.
wonderful.
So if it was me, I think I would say, you know what? I don't need you on the ladder today. I don't need you up there today. I would really love it if you could go help with this groundwork over here. And it's, I don't want to say make busy work, but something to be able to not put him at risk, but also not demean him either, right? When people are coping with alcohol in particular, drugs, alcohol, food, whatever it is, we don't want to take people's coping skills away and leave them with nothing. We need to build up new coping skills and then move towards that being the predominant coping
Well, I wonder if
skill.
I'm going to get laid off here because I didn't do that. Oh,
See? Yeah, exactly.
Oh, geez, I didn't do my job. Oh, maybe they're going to think I'm an alcoholic. Oh, no.
That's right.
So
That's
how
right.
So in the workplace, now I'm going back into the workplace.
Yeah,
Here we are,
please.
workplace mental health.
Right.
First thing's coming across my head, yeah, I'm going to have you work over here. Am I going to lose my job?
Yeah. So you're thinking through all this and your brain is going 100 miles an hour. And now remember, when I talked about before, the brain is a system and now we've applied pressure. The pressure was already there to begin with because are hungover, whatever has happened. You've got some stress maybe, whatever it is. And now your boss has said, I need you to go work over there. You're not doing that. even if you say it in the nicest way possible, like you said,
Right.
you're having those thoughts and feelings go through your mind. And so you're over there working on it. And so what's my job as a supervisor now? Because I've noticed something's off with you. So I'm going to come back and circle around and say, hey, can you come for a drive with me or a walk with me to go and grab something over here? And so then you're walking and you say, hey, this is like the third time that I've noticed that your hands are shaking really bad on the job site. Or maybe I might say, you're not acting like yourself. You're such a hard worker, or you're such a valuable asset. So you always want to give the positive first, right? And then you're going to lean in and say, hey, if something is not okay with you, I really hope that you feel like you have somebody to talk to about this. And it doesn't have to be me, but I want to make sure that you do have somebody that you're talking to about this. Do you feel like you have somebody like that? And they were like, oh my gosh, leave me alone, right?
I'm fine. Don't worry. I've been through this 100 times.
Yeah, like it's not an issue. I'm just here to do my job.
Right.
Right? And so then you're leaning into, I understand that you're doing your job. I get that. But what I need you to be able to do is show up well yourself. And if you're not showing up well yourself, then I can't have you showing up on the job site. But what I do know is you're valuable here and I want to get you some help. And what that can look like is really within your control. If we force people into therapy rooms, I have had so many wives drag their husbands by the shirt collar into my office and sat them down and say, you have to talk to her. And I'm like, well, this isn't going to work. So we can't force people to get mental health help. And that is the part that brings me back to job site safety, because you can maybe up your private insurance so that it covers more sessions for therapy. Maybe you have an EAP that will help people talk through things, but nobody's accessing those.
No.
How many of those guys are like, yes, please let me dial my phone and talk to my EAP therapist right now?
Hey, take a minute and smash that subscribe button, and let's get back to the episode. Here's the thing. We're core certified, okay?
Yes.
So we're core certified, and you get audited by another company that comes in, so you got to make sure your books are done. All right, it's because we have to, okay? So businesses have to, and some have a safety committee, which
Sure.
you have to have a safety committee.
Sure.
And then we're going through it, and we put it there. Yes, we hand the books to the employees. Yes, you know that you're having it. But do they actually use it? And then as an owner, okay, as a responsibility owner,
Yes.
and recognizing people with mental health issues, and because I do these talks, because I'm doing this, I recognize it more, but where other companies are going, like I say, they don't want to hear it. Oh, you got a problem. That means I have to do something about it.
No, that's right.
So it's kind of like, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't as an employer, okay, going, okay, well, here I go, I got this, as an employee, the employer is the owner's going, okay, am I opening up a can of worms here? Now I'm going to have my WCB look after this guy for 100 years now because he's got to go to therapy, he's got to go to this, he's got to go to this. Now my costs go way up.
Yeah.
And then you're the guy going, that's okay.
Yeah.
Let the company pay. Don't feel obligated. Don't
Exactly.
feel that you owe the company something because it's important to you. And that's where the disconnect seems to happen.
100%. And I think that when we talk about mental health in the workplace, the biggest source of that conversation and where the biggest impact can be is actually not with the frontline workers, it's with leadership.
Right.
Because when you're coming top down, delivering a message of not, hey, perfect compliance is required here in order for safety to be achieved, the message instead is everybody has bad days, everybody messes up, everybody's dealing with stuff. We want to be able to support you. We want you working here, but we also want to support you. And when that message comes out, you're relieving some of that pressure on the brain of, hey, this is just a normal thing that we talk about. This isn't, I'm broken or weak or don't have the capacity to do this job. It's the pressure's getting pretty heavy and you're carrying it all alone right now. So how do we help you find the appropriate places to put that pressure and continue doing the great work that we know that you can do?
So in workplace, so
Yeah.
here we are, you're in the workplace,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden, how do men have that conversation at the beginning? You just told me, okay, here it is. We got to talk about men's mental health. I'm supposed to be strong. I'm going into work. Yes, I'm not shaking, but I'm just not. It's not that I don't want to work. I don't want to be there. It's just I'm waiting for someone to ask me the right question.
Right. So this is where I think we need to start having conversations about mental health as another piece of the safety check-in. So you talked a lot about like your tailgate check-ins kind of thing, right? Like you're meeting before you get started for the day. And everyone's standing around and you're going through your safety check protocols and check. Everybody's got their harnesses, their hard hats, et cetera. But when I'm telling you that the brain doesn't react properly when it's under stress, then we also need to incorporate that into our safety procedures, because we can't do those safety procedures if we're not seeing or hearing or interpreting things the way that we normally would due to stress and pressure. So what that can look like is really integrating and normalizing mental health as a regular daily check-in thing. Hey, I noticed you're feeling pretty grumpy today. Yeah, I actually am having a tough time right now. The wife and I have been at it for the last 3 days and I'm struggling.
So would this be a one-on-one, or so we're in a group,
Right? Yeah.
and then all of a sudden, hey, I've noticed that you're this. And
This might be like just another colleague checking in, like another crew
Okay.
member checking in with another one. But in terms of the mental health check-ins, you wouldn't want to call somebody out in regards
No.
to, hey, and then everyone's looking at you and then the pressure really increases
Yeah.
and you're like, I'm fine, right? Nobody's going to talk about that then. But what the safety check-in does is it allows you to be able to have an opening and also observing, because there's some training that needs to be done with the supervisors and foremans and things to be able to understand what to look for and recognize. And then you're doing an overall safety check of the crew's good or the mood's off, like being able to check in with them in terms of how are they showing up? How are they presenting? Do we need to take further action? And then you're singling out some of those people to be like, they look like they need a check-in. And then you're separating them from the side and being like, hey, if you need some time, let me know. Like, I need to check in with you and make sure that you're cool. Like, what do you need? How can I help? Is there anything going on with you? Whatever the question is, whatever feels natural for you, it's just getting your foot in the door of asking the question when it's been normalized across all levels and there's no fear around answering that question. That's when you start seeing things open up. In our conversation, when you were sharing with me about how you started Shed Talk, you had said that something beautiful started happening when it was just all of these men around and you were sharing things and people started opening up because people started asking the question and the fear was removed. Right? And so when you remove the fear and it becomes part of a cultural integration that mental health is a normal thing that people struggle with every day, because it is. Pressure, no pressure. There's not a world that exists where people don't feel pressure. Just some people are better at hiding it than others, right?
Right.
And when people are really good at hiding it, then it compounds and builds and compounds and builds and comes out in addictions, suicidal ideation, mood disorders, all of these other things. The body gives many warning signs before we get to that point. So the idea behind this is to be able to have enough of a check-in system and know your crew well enough, understanding that mental health is very normal. It's not a bad thing. You're not broken. You're not weak. You're not any of those things. This is an ebb and flow of your brain and how long and able it is able to carry the pressure that you're under in your life. And I mean, nowadays, right now in society, there's a lot of pressure right now. It is really volatile and unstable out there right now. You can't even turn the news on without adding more pressure to yourself, right?
Gosh, yeah.
It's hard right now. So when we kind of lean into that toughness, like you were talking about before, that tough attitude of like, and men are pigeonholed into this all the time where we'll just deal with it. You're a man. Be a man. Man up. Right?
Yeah. Don't be a baby. Suck it
Don't
up.
be a baby. Suck it
Suck
up.
it
That's
up.
right. We don't have time for those kind of problems,
Right.
right? Are you going to do this or not? Can you help out or not? Right? It's such black and white thinking. But when we start normalizing, talking about it is the same as when you have a cold. You wouldn't judge somebody about having a cold that day, right?
Right. And you know what's interesting? You just mentioned something.
Yeah.
You wouldn't judge somebody from having a cold, okay? Now, what's really interesting about that, because that shift changed, mindset changed during COVID. There was no way prior COVID, you had to be on time every time, all the time, like you were forced. If you had a cold, get to work, work. COVID hits. All of a sudden, people aren't going to work because they're forced not to, whatever the story is, they don't have to go to work. Now
That's
they're
right.
sick. Now it's like people are going, don't worry about being late. Meaning it's okay to be late, like on a job site, meaning
Sure.
we could actually be late going to the job.
Yeah.
Versus everybody would panic, oh my gosh, I'm going to be late. Hell or high water, we got to get this job done. Then all of a
Yes.
sudden it's like, well, time out. we don't. So-and-so didn't show up today because they have COVID.
Yeah.
They're sick. Now it's okay to be sick. Now, COVID's over.
Yeah.
Now, if you come to work and you have a cold, don't come to work. Please stay home. Get better. Look after yourself. Okay, first. Like, don't bring everybody else into that sickness. And that was like the shift that happened instantly. That shift of all of a sudden, everybody, I don't know, it didn't come smooth. It actually was really fast.
Oh,
And
it
was
hit
like,
us
bang.
hard, didn't it?
Oh my gosh.
Hard. And then all of a sudden, everything that you understood in the world was turned upside down.
Yeah.
And that was part of the problem with trying to grapple. We had no anchor, no safety base, right? But what I want you to pay attention to is what you just described to me. And it sounds like maybe you had some familiarity with this on your own job sites during COVID, but that's an adaptive system that you just described to me.
Adaptive system.
An adaptive system. And let me tell you what an adaptive system is. This
Yeah.
is part of the new way of safety science of thinking that we're talking about. Adaptive systems, you would never have, before COVID happened, had a protocol for how to deal with COVID because we didn't even know it was an issue.
No.
Right? And so that is the problem with that type of safety planning is there are so many, the human condition and all of the other factors involved here, there are so many different combinations that could come up and derail your job site, your day, your whatever. And so as hard as we diligently work through cognitive psychology and resilience engineering and all of these different things, we can never plan for all the possibilities as hard as we try. So instead of investing in those kind of safety protocols, and I'm not saying we shouldn't, those are important still. We've done a
Right.
fantastic job in this industry of being able to move the needle for safety for workers. However, I do think that if we put all of the energy we can into our workers, into our people, and making sure that their brains are working where they need to be working, their brains are adaptive too. We have adaptive people working within adaptive systems. And now all of a sudden, we can trust that the worker is going to do what they need to do because they're going to make the right decision because they're well supported and know the path. And we've shifted from now we have a worker who's scared. That's coming from a scarcity mindset, right? Fear-based decision making, which we talked about before with the brain. That's pressure, and it makes us go outside of that window of tolerance, and now we're making different decisions than we would when we're relaxed and calm and inside that perfect window of tolerance of feeling very good and very functional, right? And when we moved in that direction, then all of a sudden we get people who are not afraid to talk about what's going on with them because they know that there is not anything that's going to come with that other than a, hey, how can I help, right? And of course, I don't want to say that we live in a perfect utopia here because we don't, right? There's all
No.
kinds of different personalities and things that could go wrong within this system too. But research and studies show time and time again that you will get more productivity, you will get happier workforce and lower turnover, lower mistakes, lower safety issues when people and the system within it are working together in a way that supports one another and crews have their backs up and down the ladder, and I don't mean the physical ladder, but
Right.
exact ladder here, right?
Yeah.
To know that they're valued and doing a good job.
What did you call it? Adaptive?
Yeah, so an adaptive system.
So this, I'm gonna say it right now.
Yeah.
Okay, right now. I don't even know what the time is or the month is.
Yeah.
Adaptive system is gonna be the new protocol on all safety buzzwords. The adaptive system, mental health state.
I hope so. I hope so. I really feel like this is the piece that we're missing in terms of some of the safety protocol, mental health designing stuff. When you look at accidents, when you look at where things went wrong, instead of building back of what didn't we have in place, what were we missing, then we're coming from a place of, well, in other situations where this didn't happen, what went really well? And now we're coming from a place of what can we build upon and improve and keep growing with rather than who's going to be the next person that comes up with the next thing, the great idea that we all missed, right? Because those possibilities are endless, but also few and far between. We've got a lot of great thinkers that have been working on this problem for a really long time. But what we haven't added into it is the normalization of the mental health and that regulation of your brain, because you have a lot of control over that regulation if you know how to do it and you've been given the right tools.
So when is this going to be implemented in all safety protocols?
Oh gosh, I hope soon. I hope soon. I'm working on a program right now. I don't want to talk about it too much because I don't know what's going to happen with it.
Is it called adaptive system? And I'm going, don't tell me the names or anything.
That language is in there everywhere. But
oh my gosh, because I never heard of it. Like the buzzword, and it was like I had to think about it. That is brilliant because all I could think about is the mental health side of it. And as me going through everything that I've been talking with men sitting shoulder to shoulder, having this conversation about suicide, just being there, that adaptive system to be able to communicate. And then on a job site, and men, when we're understanding yes, we understand safety is important, but it's so different because here's safety. Okay, we're going to have this talk, but then all of a sudden, now let's dig into the mind of it, the adaptive system that we actually, like you said, now I actually physically have your back mentally. That it's okay. Are you there with me? Are you there? Can I trust you? Are you going to be that fallen soldier? That I'm there to support you both ways. And, it's more of a, now we're not just there together, we're actually integrated together.
Exactly.
What do we call it?
Adaptive systems.
Adaptive systems.
That's right. And so this isn't a new, I won't claim that I have created this term. This isn't a new system. It's been created and used multiple times over in kind of high performance organizations where consequences are really big. So NASA, what else? Emergency rooms, emergency surgery, wildlife firefighting, like all of these that have big error margins that are hugely consequential. They all work together with this same adaptive system of how do we make things go right.
And you only see that on ER or this, and you'd hear that word there, but this is an actual word. And this is actually where we're at, that how important it is for safety.
Right. And so when I think about all of the different research and thinking that's been done, this is the piece that is missing all the time, is that ability to be able to understand that the brain regulates up and down depending on the pressure around it. We start seeing mental health concerns when the system can't hold the pressure anymore. Right. And so mental health isn't about being broken or innately wrong, or there shouldn't be shame attached to it. There shouldn't be judgment, because all brains go through this process. But as you said, like, some of us have better support than others. And so then we don't get outside of our container. We don't push past those boundaries into those mental health issues because we have the supports needed to be able to help us out.
All right, one question for you.
Yeah.
If you could make one change or see one thing different, what would it be? Or actually...
in the construction?
No, it has to be in construction, men in general. Men over 50, and men over 50, which is going to affect everybody. What's the one thing that you would like to say to some of them? And not get a girlfriend.
No, the girlfriends don't want to help you with this stuff. They want you to help yourself with it, right? Then you'll get a girlfriend. Just joking. What I would really like, and what I do say often to the men that do make it into my therapy office, is you are not alone. You're expected to carry a lot, and the pressure is heavy. You're in a lot of these roles that require you to have this kind of stoic energy of everything's fine, keep calm, carry on, everything's good. But you are not alone. All of you simultaneously are struggling with these ebbs and flows of this pressure, feeling like you can handle it, you can't handle it. And I don't think that there should be shame or judgment attached to that, because everybody, every human, women, men, all of us are going through this. And if we turn towards each other, we can support each other and not have to carry all of these big, heavy loads by ourselves.
And now, how do people find you?
Yeah. So I am at the Family Psychology Place. I'm a registered social worker there and accepting clients quite regularly. I also do lots of talks. Anytime anybody wants to know more about this or is interested in building a program that integrates mental health as safety at multiple levels throughout your company, so it's smooth and seamless. Anybody who's tired of paying for EAP programs or insurance policies that don't actually matter. I shouldn't say it like that, but that don't get accessed, right? And you want to learn a different way to be able to support your people, you can find me through LinkedIn. You can find me through the Family Psychology Place. Ooh, I don't know that handle off.
Oh, okay. First and last name?
Yeah, Delaine Bennett.
Delaine Bennett. Okay, and LinkedIn, social medias, anything there?
Yeah, I will have to pass those on afterwards. You can find me through the Family Psychology Place. It's the easiest way.
So your last talk you did?
Yeah. So my last talk I did was with the Alberta Electrical Alliance.
And And you knocked it out of the park?
Knocked it out of the park. Yeah, they asked if I would come back again, and I'm currently working on 3 more talks. And working with some hockey clubs. Like this adaptive system stuff, it goes, and systems under pressure goes across so many different
And it's
things.
a lot with men's mental health.
It's a lot with men's mental health because they have a lot of pressure in their lives. Yep.
Excellent. You know what? Thank you very much for coming on Shed Talk with Kevin Halliday. I appreciate that.
Yes.
Like and share, smash that button, do everything there.
Yes.
Thank you very much for coming. Do you have any questions or any questions you want to ask before we go?
Did this feel relatable to you today?
It was outstanding.
Okay.
You hit something that I never thought of before, and then all of a sudden, from the worker and adapt, like brand new word, brand new system, and then all of a sudden, I was able to visualize it and go, "Oh my gosh, how important that is!" Because when we do talks, and how important it is on the mental side, because the tailgate where we're there before the work starts, and then all of a sudden, when everything's all said and done, I've got your back.
Yes.
Not on the ladder, but ladder literally doing it. And that's very powerful for a lot of men out there, especially to look at that and go, we're not alone.
Yeah.
We're here together. So
Amazing. I'm so glad to hear that. The biggest part of my job is understanding this research and understanding human behavior and being able to make it really accessible for people, because that's how we get people towards accessing those resources.
thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
Now you know. Shed Talk.